Hello, 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 and welcome to the Court Dog Experience where I talk Ohio State Buckeye. Buckeye talk from the fans' point of view. So if you're liking this segment, please hit the like button. And if you enjoy Buckeye talk and content in general, please subscribe. Help a brother grow this thing out. With that said, let's get into it. Playoffs. We in it. I'm happy. I'm excited. We in it. I don't care how. I'm one of those who don't care how we got there. I think we deserve it. Following that SC loss, I think we deserve it. I can understand other fan bases not being so happy we got in. I can understand that. I can understand that. What I don't understand is Ohio State fans not happy we in it. You got some fans out here, we backed our way in. We don't deserve it. Yada, yada, yada. If y'all one of those fans, what I say to y'all is don't watch the game. Spend that 3.5, 4 hours, or however long that game is, do something else. Leave that game for us who enjoy the Buckeyes being there, or happy the Buckeyes in there, or happy Ohio State has a chance to win it all. Because, hey, if I don't think you deserve something, I ain't going to waste my time and invest no time in watching you. So if you one of those fans, don't watch the game. Don't watch the game. Let us Ohio State fans who are happy they there, feel they deserve to be there. Let us enjoy our moment and watch the game, no matter what the outcome. I'm happy we there. They got a chance to win it. What also makes me happy about this particular playoffs is the teams that aren't there. Yeah, I'm talking about Bama and I'm talking about Clemson. I'm glad they ain't. I'm glad they ain't there. This will be the first playoffs that neither one of those two teams have been in it since the playoffs, since the 14 playoff format. So that alone, I'm ecstatic about that as well. So again, I'm happy. I'm happy our Buckeyes are there, and I'm happy who ain't there. So, but again, if you're one of those who don't feel we deserve to be there, just spend that time doing something else. Let us true Buckeye fans, well, I ain't say true Buckeye fans, but let us Buckeye fans who are happy we were there in the playoffs, let us go ahead and watch the game. Now, the game in and of itself is going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. Georgia in the ATL. That's going to be a tough game. It's not going to be easy. It's a good matchup though. It's a good matchup going in. So going into the game, I was just wondering how many times Georgia and Ohio State have hooked up, and I was shocked to see we only played one time, two-story program. This is only going to be the second time Ohio State and Georgia has hooked up in a game. I was surprised by that. I thought we'd have had a longer, at least more than once, but only one time, and it was in the bowl game. Back during the the John Cooper era. So you know what I'm about to say next. John Cooper bowl game. We lost. we lost. The only other time we played Georgia was during the John Cooper era, and we lost the game. It was the Peach Bowl back in '93 Peach Bowl, I believe it was, and it was John Cooper. Oh, it was only a touchdown. They beat us. I think Georgia was their top 10 team. We were top 15. That's whatever the ranking was. Georgia was the higher ranked team. John Cooper was the coach. We lost. Another notable thing about that game was I believe that was Kirk Herbstreit's Herbie. Kirk Herbstreit's last collegiate game as a Buckeye was in that game against Georgia. But Georgia won that game. Our only other matchup with Georgia and Ohio State lost during the John Cooper era. And again, that's significant because Cooper during that time, and this is why a lot of people are scared about Ryan Day and how he's trending right now following that last Michigan loss. Because Cooper was 3-8 in bowl games, I believe, and you tack that on against his record against Michigan, it's just not looking good. And people don't want to. And I understand it. I get it. We don't want another John Cooper era kicking off anytime soon. So, but Cooper did not do good in bowl games. He did not do good against Michigan. And the other parallel there between Cooper and Ryan Day is that John Cooper has some good teams. Just look at that, the Rose, that not the Rose Bowl, the bowl game. Look at the talent we had. I looked at the roster. That team, that Kirk Street aside, he's an alright quarterback. He's just alright. He's more known for his days at ESPN right now. But Kirk was the quarterback. But look at our running backs: Robert Smith, Raymond Hare. I think Eddie George was a freshman. I think Joey Galloway was on that team. Big Daddy Wilkinson was on that team. We had some players on that team. And now it's just indicative of Cooper's career. He had some talented teams that at the end of the day ain't a lot to show for it. Not too much to show for the type of talent Cooper brought to Columbus. And people are scared to death. This is what's going to happen under Ryan Day moving forward, because he's had some good teams, lots and lots and lots of talent. And so far, it's not showing on the field the way it should be showing on the field. So some parallels there, but I ain't ready to, like I said in the previous segments, and I'm gonna be pumping some of my previous stuff, y'all. So please go check it out. Brother ain't too proud to beg to have y'all go check out some of my previous stuff. Go check it out. But that's a lot of folks are scared about Ryan Day, because he has a lot of talent on this roster right now, and so far not too much to show for it. He's not Cooper yet, but we don't want it to trend that way. So that's why folks are anxious about what Ryan Day is going to do. Okay, so that's our history with Georgia. One time, John Cooper era, we lost the bowl game. So now let's look at the matchup coming up. It's going to be a good game. It's type of game folks have been clamoring for all season long. I know I was Georgia, and you look at it, it's the matchup. Matchups makes games, and this is going to be a good matchup. So just before diving into some of the other stuff here, let's look at who the experts, some of the stuff the experts are saying about this particular game. Just go down the thing here. You see the percentages. Georgia pretty much has close to a 60% chance to win. Of course, in that 60% chance to win, they got about a touchdown spread favored against Ohio State, and the over-under set around 63 points. The final score prediction got folks about 33-26. That's what folks are saying. That's what the experts are saying on a lot of the sites I've looked at. So those are the numbers, the predictions, some of the stuff heading into the actual game from the experts' point of view. So it's just and you can't argue with it, because it's heading into these playoffs. Georgia they've played the best. They've been most consistent throughout the year. You could have said Ohio State prior to that Michigan game, but Georgia, they've been the most consistent team. They are the defending champions for a reason, and they played the part. So, like I said, it's going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough matchup for Ohio State, but at the same time, it's going to be a good matchup. I think Ohio State matches up well with Georgia, and a lot of Georgia fans feel that way too. Of course, they all think they're going to win it. Who wouldn't think Georgia was going to beat Ohio State? But a lot of fans, a good percentage of Georgia fans, are not happy with the matchup, because Ohio State out of Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State's the one team that matches up with them well offensively. Because here you got a team in Ohio State that likes to throw the ball, and that's the one thing. Just getting off that performance against LSU, what they put up with 500 yards total offense. Ohio State is the one team I think matches up well with Georgia, and a lot of their fans feel the same way. They would have preferred any other team other than Ohio State, because Ohio State is the one team that can give them problems when they are playing right. That's the one thing about it. When they're playing right, Ohio State can give you problems if they're on point and their play calling and Ryan Day doesn't get in his head, which we'll talk about the coaches in a second. But if Ryan Day doesn't get in his head, um, doesn't now coach himself, try to get too cute, Ohio State can give Georgia problems. And this is the matchup we've been wanting to see all year long. Ohio State's offense against Georgia's defense. I mean, yeah, you can't ask for anything better. You cannot ask for anything better than that. It's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be a good matchup. Um, and Georgia fans, I think a lot of them tell you Ohio State was probably the one team they did not want to see. Out of terms in the playoffs, they would have preferred any other team other than Ohio State, I think. But they feel they're gonna win it, and they have every reason to believe so. Because they're the best team, they're defending champions. Why wouldn't they believe that? They still ain't happy with the matchup though. They would have preferred someone else other than Ohio State. But all things being equal, so I ain't gonna go deep into the X's and O's and all this other stuff. I'm just going to just talk just in generalities about some of the stuff and what I feel are some of the key matchups going into the game. First and foremost, the coaching. Here we got Mr. Kirby Smart and Ryan Day. Kirby Smart, Ryan Day. And this is going to be a good offensive mind, defensive mind. Good matchup. Good matchup. And one thing about, and I'm not all that into what the Georgia fan base thinks of Kirby Smart, because I'm assuming it was similar to what our fan base is thinking of Ryan Day now. Kirby Smart has some good teams, but he wasn't considered a good. I don't know. I got some Georgia fans peeping this out. Let me know what were the Georgia fans' reaction or thoughts about Kirby Day prior to him winning. Because I'm thinking it's similar to what fans are saying about Ryan Day right now. Good recruiter, had a ton of talent, but is he a good coach? They're probably saying that up until he beat Alabama. Now, when you win, that changes a lot of perspectives about a lot of stuff. Well, he got over the hump, beat Nick Saban, got that national championship. So the narrative about Kirby Smart's changed just a little bit. So I'm thinking Ryan Day, he's going through something similar right now. How good of a coach is he in big games? We know he can win the games he's supposed to win, because he's done that even better than Urban Meyer up to this point. Urban Meyer has some stinkers on his resume here at Ohio State, but so far, for the most part, Ryan Day has won the games he was supposed to win, save for the Michigan game he was favored to win. But I'm talking about teams he should have beaten, like the Purdue's and the Iowas that you look back during Urban Meyer's career, he came away out of those games with big, terrible losses at the end of the day. So, but coaching acumen, Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, who's the better coach? Each got their strengths and weaknesses. I can only talk more so about how Ryan Day has done in previous segments. Go look at some of them. I'm gonna keep pumping them up. In previous stuff, my one thing about Ryan Day is he's slow to adjust. He has me scratching my head sometimes on some of the play calling that he has done. I think he's stubborn. I've said that on several occasions. I think he's a very stubborn coach. It's like he's going to force his will on another team. I mean, like always. And I really started thinking about the Ryan Day stuff, when Ohio State opened on the road last year at Minnesota, because PJ Fleck said something that stood out. The Minnesota coach, he said, we want that Ohio State staff to have to think. We want them to have to think what they're doing or what they're going to do about their schemes and stuff. And you start thinking of it that way, and then you like, yeah, when the talent level is equal, or when stuff ain't going schematic wise for Ryan Day, they're slow to adjust sometimes. And I think fans get frustrated because we see he runs the same plays To me, it was real evident that the Penn State game last year on the goal line situation, he kept running the same play over and over and over again, and it just kept getting stuffed over and over again. He never deviated from that play. This year, he's in love with the bubble screen. It's just over and over, and I haven't really seen it work, but he still runs the bubble screen. And if you're running plays like that to set stuff up, I get it, but I don't see him setting other stuff up. I just see him just running the same play. So his Ryan Day's ability to adjust on the fly, I do. It is concerning somewhat when things are going good. When you got the superior talent, things clicking like a well-oiled machine, fine. Ohio State looks great, but sometimes when the talent level is equal, I think he does struggle at times. And I always go back to what PJ Flex said during that Minnesota game. If you get these guys thinking, get in their head some, that sort of offsets the talent gap that they have over other teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ryan Day comes out schematic-wise against Georgia. Some of the stuff he's doing early is not working. Is he going to be changing it up, or is he still going to try to force stuff or whatnot? And it's going to be interesting how he does that, because I do scratch my head a lot of times, because when he finds a play that works in some of these games, you never see the play again. He'll go away from it, he won't go back to it, or vice versa. He's running, then he'll just stop running for seemingly no reason. He won't run he won't run the ball anymore. Or if he got a pass play that is working, he won't run it no more. He switches stuff up, and some of the timing of his play calling it leaves your head scratching. The one thing I did like about Urban Meyer and his championship run is when he found a play that worked, he ran it to death. Wisconsin, going back to the Wisconsin Big Ten championship game, throw the ball deep with Cardale Jones, off tackle Ezekiel Elliott. Wisconsin couldn't stop it. You know what Ryan Day did the next game against Alabama, the game we were supposed to lose? Ezekiel Elliott off tackle, Cardale Jones deep. Same play, they couldn't stop it. Oregon game, same thing. Ezekiel Elliott off tackle, Cardale Jones deep. Same play until they stop it. To me, Ryan Day doesn't do that. He finds a play works one time, he won't go back to it. That's just my own observation. So hopefully he adjusts. So Kirby Smart, haven't seen enough plays or games of Georgia to see how he adjusts during the games. The one game I did watch from start to end was the Missouri game, and quite frankly, I thought the Missouri coach outcoached him. It wasn't for a bad play call at the end of the game there. Missouri could have won that game. But I don't watch too many of Georgia games. I watched the Tennessee game, and they just thoroughly outclassed Tennessee. But for the most part, I haven't watched too many of Georgia's game to know how Kirby's coaching goes from and how well he makes in-game adjustments. That's what's going to come down to, in-game adjustments. Who can do it better? Who can do it quicker? And we'll see how the coaching goes. But if you want to give an edge to someone, Kirby Smart has a national championship. Ryan Day doesn't. Georgia. Until Ryan Day proves it on the big stage, that's going to be the question about him moving forward. How does he perform in these bigger games? Hopefully he can. I don't think he's Cooper, because he has won bowl games. He has won big games. I brought up in my previous segment was strictly about Ryan Day and C.J. Stroud. I brought up his bowl record, his playoff record. I think he's done well in the playoffs. He only has the 2 losses in the playoffs. The one, of course, he got dominated by Alabama the year he did make it. And then the one year, we all know it, that Clemson game, the first Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, head-to-head, Ohio State got cheated. I don't normally like to call out stuff, but everyone knows Ohio State got cheated in that first playoff game between Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. Well, you had that targeting call against Ohio State that shouldn't have been a targeting call, and then, of course, they overturned the fumble by Clemson that I think we returned it for a touchdown. Both those calls went against Ohio State. Clemson won, so that's one of Ryan Day's losses in the playoffs. To me, it shouldn't have been, but it is what it is. So I don't think Ryan Day's record is on parallel to what Cooper did in the playoffs. So hopefully he can turn that around, and hopefully he'll in-game decision. What coach is going to do it better? If something ain't working, who's going to make the adjustments quicker? That's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So outside of the coaches, the next big thing, quarterback play. That's going to be big. It's going to be big. Quarterback play. Again, if you watch my previous segment, I'll tell you, I have my issues with C.J. Stroud. You want to see my issues? Watch my previous stuff. I talk about C.J. Stroud in length. He has his issues. His issues in running the ball. Like I said, I ain't going to go over it all. But I do think C.J. Stroud's going to have to run the ball some. I think coming into these playoffs, he is the best quarterback in the playoffs. With that said, I love Stetson Bennett. How can you not like a player like Stetson Bennett? I believe he went from a walk-on, national champion winner. I love every team has those type of players that come on, they bet on themselves, and they flourish in the systems that they're in. And Stetson Bennett has done it. I love players like Stetson Bennett. We have our own in Xavier Johnson. How can you not love players and the stuff that Stetson Bennett has done? But in this game, C.J. Stroud is the better quarterback. Throwing the ball, his arm talent, like I previously said, his arm talent is second to none in these playoffs. C.J. Stroud, problem is he won't run the ball. And I think against Georgia, C.J. Stroud's going to have to run the ball because that defense is too good for him not to. And I think if C.J. Stroud runs for 20 to 30 yards in this game, Ohio State has a very excellent chance of winning the game if they don't win it outright. But C.J. Stroud is going to have to do some of the lifting with his legs. I'll be shocked if he doesn't have to run the ball at all against this Georgia defense. He's going to have to run it. So it's going to come down to me is C.J. Stroud going to run? The run or not the run? That's going to be the question. If C.J. Stroud runs, Ohio State has a very good chance. And I thought, that Northwestern game where he broke out and ran, I said, all right, this is what he's going to be doing the rest of the year. But as it turned out, it really didn't play out that way. C.J. Stroud, I think he tried it once against Indiana, and after that, he didn't. He shut it down again. So we'll see. Stetson Bennett, on the other hand, he's going to run. He's a mobile quarterback. He's going to run. He's gritty. I love his game. And he's going to do what he needs to do to win. And I hope C.J. Stroud brings that type of mentality with him. I hope he doesn't rely solely on his arm to win the game, because I think he is going to have to use his legs, because it's not like he can't run. The brother's fast. The brother is fast. You seen him run. He got some wheels, but he refuses to use them. So that's my one thing about C.J. Stroud. Will he do it? Will he run or not? Stetson Bennett, love him to death. Former walk-on. I think he didn't he run J.T. Daniels out of town? Wasn't J.T. a 4 or 5 star recruit? Stetson Bennett was like, it's my job. Wow. So I love Stetson Bennett, but C.J. Stroud is the better quarterback in this matchup. I think he's the best quarterback in these playoffs. It's just a matter of will he do some of the stuff he needs to do with his legs that Ohio State may need him to do to win this game. The other matchup, I already touched on it, Ohio State's offense against Georgia's defense. You got the number one offense, either number one scoring or number one or number two. I always forget between them and Tennessee. They're either number one or number two scoring offense against the number one scoring defense. Ohio State, I don't believe, has seen a defense like Georgia's all year, and vice versa. I don't think Georgia's seen an offense like Ohio State's all year. Yeah, they got Tennessee. They played Tennessee, but I don't think Tennessee's offense is as good as Ohio State's offense. That's just my opinion. The SEC fans may beg to differ, but I think Ohio State's offense is every bit as good, or if not better, than the offense that Tennessee has. And yeah, Georgia, they shut down Tennessee, but I think also they wore out Tennessee because Tennessee doesn't have defense. We'll get to Ohio State's defense later, but I think Tennessee, I don't think they had the defense. Then I think that put a lot of pressure on their offense. But that's going to be a matchup that I'm anxious to see. Our offense against that defense, in particular, if our offense can execute and get out of their own way, if our head coaches let our offense play, don't get too conservative, and let it rip. John, they said we're going to come in loose, we're going to come in free, and we're just going to play. Because it's not often he's been in this position. He's normally the hunted. He's normally the favored. We're the underdogs. He doesn't. I mean, it's a lot different being the hunted and the hunter. We're the hunter this game. We are underdogs. This is something that Ohio State has thrived in the underdog role. I think in the last 10 times we've been underdogs, we won the game outright. I believe only 2 times. Again, it was that Clemson game where we were underdogs where we got cheated. Yeah, we got cheated. And then the Alabama game where we got blown out because our defense was – I think Alabama broke our defense that game because it hasn't been right since up until this year. But those are the only 2 times we lost as underdogs. Every other time we won the game outright. So again, Ohio State fans, that's something to hang your hat on. It's going to be our offense against their defense. Now, all depends on if we can run the ball. And I'm talking about our running backs now. Well, if C.J. Stroud, he can add to our running game if he's willing to either by scrambling or by a couple design runs. I think that will throw a curve in it. Because what did someone say following that Northwestern game? A design quarterback run was more or less a trick play because we haven't called quarterback design runs all season long. So if he can, just a little extra threat of him running the ball, that might free up our running backs some, so they're just not crashing down on our running backs. So again, a lot of it's going to come back to the Stroud's willingness to run. Can our offensive line? We know they can pass block. They're going to get tested pass blocking because they're going up against a good defensive line. But can they run block? If they can run block, average about 3.5, 4 yards a carry in our offense, and that gets our passing game, play action passing game going. If they can run block, it's going, like I said, it's going to be a good game. Going to be a good game. Ohio State's going to have a good chance to win this game if we can control the line of scrimmage. And they haven't been able to do that every game this year where they've struggled in games where they haven't been able to control the line of scrimmage. So if they can do that against Georgia, again, Ohio State has an excellent chance to win. We'll see how that goes. Our offense, the Georgia offense against Ohio State's defense, much improved defense. I feel actually, despite the Michigan game, because that was a one-score game up until the final, last half of that fourth quarter, defense played well minus the big plays. If we can get how many big plays? 4 or 5? All their scoring plays were 40+ yards if close. I mean, how many big plays did Michigan have in that game? If our defense can cut out those big plays and make Georgia drive up and down the field, because no one's been able to do that against our defense, just methodically drive up and down the field. Michigan didn't do that. They got big plays. So if our defense, when I think our defense is good enough, they're not going to allow Georgia to methodically go up and down the field because, first of all, I don't think Georgia has that type of offense. I could be wrong. I haven't seen enough of their games. So, again, Georgia fans, you can correct me if some of you are peeping this, but I don't think they have that type of offense where they're just going to run it down our throat. I think Michigan's a better running team, and I think Maryland's a better throwing team. I think they got a good offense. Stetson Bennett, he does what he needs to do to keep that game move, keep the offense going up and down the field because it says mobility, which I think that will present problems. But our defense, I think, if they can eliminate the big plays, I ain't gonna say just cut them out, but eliminate big plays, just hold them to a minimum of big plays. I think Jim Knowles has mentioned, we'll live with one or two 20 plus yards plays a game, but they gave up what 6 or 7 in that Michigan game. They can eliminate some of the big plays. I like Ohio State's chances against Georgia's offense. I don't think it's a real dynamic offense. They got the 2 tight ends. I love their tight ends. Um, I think we match up well with them, but we can limit their tight ends and limit them methodically going up and down the field. Not eliminate the big plays. That's what we got to do. Eliminate the big plays. If our defense can do that, again, I think we have an excellent shot at winning this game. Then it comes down, so again, chance for Jim Knowles to redeem himself. Gave up those big plays against Michigan, so I'm interested to see what Knowles is going to do defensive wise. Now, again, I'm interested to see what Ryan Day is going to do on the offensive side of the ball. Some of the individual matchup I'm anxious to see in this game is Ringo. I think the boy's bad. I want to see Ringo against Marvin. That's one individual matchup in this game I'm looking forward to see if Ringo, to see that. Those are two Sunday guys getting ready to go at it. Marvin Harrison, I think he is the best receiver. He should have won the Blitnikoff. He just lost out on numbers. This was a numbers game. The Tennessee receiver, his numbers were better because he had to play more. Other than that, everyone knows Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best receiver in college football this year. He just didn't have the numbers. But it is what it is. But I'm anxious to see Ringo and Marvin Harrison. I think those are two studs right there getting ready to go at it. So that's one of the individual matchups I'm interested in seeing. Probably the most anticipated matchup I want to see individual wise. Ringo and Harrison. I think that's going to be an excellent matchup. So coaching wise, I give the nod to Kirby. He has the national title under his belt. Enough said. Quarterback wise, I think Stroud's the best quarterback in this playoffs. Offensive, I think Ohio State has the best offense. Defense, I think Georgia has the best defense. Intangibles, special teams. 2 of the last 3 games coming down the stretch. Ohio State's blocked some punts. Georgia's, I don't know much about Georgia's special teams, so that's always the intangible. Special teams and turnovers. You can't account for those. And guys, whoever wins the turnover battle could very well win the game. It's going to be interesting how that plays out. I think on the course of the year, Ohio State is plus in the turnover margin. Haven't looked at Georgia's numbers. I'm assuming they're plus in the turnover margin too, because how can you not be with that defense? So it's going to be, it's a stalemate. So when it's a stalemate, it comes down to intangibles. I think intangibles and in-game coaching adjustments, and have to give a slight edge to Kirby. It's just, it is what it is. So, all things being equal, how's this game going to play out? Number 1 offense, number 1 defense. If Stroud runs, I think Ohio State wins the game. I said in the previous segment, go watch it. I ain't too proud to beg. Go watch my previous stuff. If Stroud runs, I said previously, if Stroud runs for between 20 to 30 yards in the game, that's what? 1 designed run or 1 scramble of 5 or 6 yards per quarter. Just one. No, we ain't trying to turn into no J.T. Barrett or no Caleb Williams for that matter. Hats off to Caleb. He won the Heisman. I would say, well, let me pivot there. I'll come back to that one. But if C.J. Stroud runs for 20 to 30 yards, one designed run, 1 scramble once per quarter, either to pick up a 3rd down, to keep the drive moving, make it a 3rd and short, just one time per quarter, 5 or 6 yards, I think Ohio State wins if he gets 20 to 30 yards over the course of a game. That's what I believe. That's my opinion. If he can do that, I think Ohio State wins. Um, Now, before I go into my final prediction, Caleb Williams won the Heisman. Congrats to him. And rather say Caleb won it, I'd rather look at it as that C.J. Stroud lost the Heisman. Because if he had beaten Michigan, C.J. Stroud wins the Heisman. I honestly and firmly believe that when C.J. Stroud and Ohio State lost that Michigan game, C.J. Stroud lost the Heisman. But that's my opinion. Good job to Caleb Williams. He had a great year, and hats off to him. What else can you say? He won the Heisman, and following the Michigan laws, that works both ways. Following the Michigan laws, I think he deserved the Heisman once C.J. Stroud lost it and Ohio State lost it against Michigan. So, but that is what it is. But in the playoffs, we got a battle. The quarterbacks, two Heisman finalists going at it. I think we got the better of the two if C.J. Stroud runs the ball. Arm-wise, it's C.J. Stroud. Pure quarterback play, C.J. Stroud. Intangibles, no, Bennett. Bennett's going to run the ball. We know he's going to run the ball. Will C.J. Stroud do it? That's the big question. And if he does that, I think Ohio State scores over 30 points. And looking at, I say that, and I'm confident if Ohio State scores 30 points, because if y'all seen Ohio State's record when they score 30 or more points, it is an insane record. I looked into it, and when Ohio State scores 30 or more points, they're like 90-0, or it's some crazy record. When they score 35 or more points, there are 300, and this is over the course of their whole thing. But when they score over 35 plus points, they're like 359-1. Yeah, it's up there. 359-1. 359 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie when they score 35 or more points. When they score 30 or more points, they're like 89, 90-0. So and I bring that up because I think Ohio State's going to eclipse the 30-point mark. I honestly do. I think they're going to turn around. I'm going to take Ryan Day at his word and assume they're going to play a lot more loose, a lot more free. They're going to eliminate some of their mistakes that have plagued them in terms of penalties or whatnot. I'm assuming C.J. Stroud's going to run. The brother said he's going to put his life on the line. He said he's going to do it in the Michigan game. I didn't see it, so maybe he's going to do it in the Georgia game. If he does it, 20 to 30 yards, I think Ohio State gets over 30 points. And my final prediction for the game, Ohio State 38, Georgia 28. I think our defense is going to come and play. I think C.J. Stroud is going to do what he needs to do. Georgia has not seen an offense like this. Georgia hasn't seen an offense like this. And hopefully they come to play. They come to play and they get 30 points. Over 30 points, I think Ohio State wins the game because I don't think Georgia has the type of offense that can win in a shootout. Ohio State's equipped to win a shootout type of game. Georgia, in my opinion, not so much. I could be wrong. But in my opinion, I think Ohio State wins in the shootout. And I think their offense is more geared to that. They're more of a quick strike offense than Georgia is. So, Ohio State 38, Georgia 28. And I hope we get Michigan in the rematch so we can shut them up too. But first games first, Georgia in the ATL. It's not going to be easy. I'm a Buckeye. Got to go with my Buckeyes. 38-28, C.J. Stroud, he runs 20 to 30 yards. I think Ohio State wins the game. Yeah, that's Core Dog experience. That's what I'm thinking. 38-28, Ohio State thrives in the underdog role. We're underdogs. We ain't got nothing to lose. For once we go out there and play with nothing to lose. Just let her rip. And I think Ohio State's going to do just that. So it's going to be a fun game. And so that is my segment. Go look at some other stuff. If you want to see a more detailed talk about how I feel about Ryan Day and his future moving forward with the 12-team playoff format coming, C.J. Stroud, and what my thoughts on him been for these last 2 years. So we'll see. C.J. Stroud, Elijah Ryan, his first playoff appearance, his first one. We're gonna see how he's gonna do. We're gonna see how he's gonna do. I think it's gonna come down to him running the ball. He run it, Ohio State wins. So until next time, folks. Go Bucks, OHIO. And if you're liking this segment, please hit the like button. If you want to comment on anything, Ohio State fans, Georgia fan, anything you heard, please comment below. If you like Buckeye Talk in general, you like Buckeye content in general, please subscribe. I am looking forward to this game. Until next time, OHIO, go Bucks.